Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Harne Podcast. This episode is going to be focused on marketing. And to talk about it, I have with me Rahul Saha. Rahul has an interesting background. He is a biomedical engineer and an MBA from the Schulich School of Business at York University in Toronto. Rahul is currently working as a marketing advisor at Enbridge. On this episode, I ask him about his journey and how he got his current job. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to request you to like this video, leave us a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Now sit back and enjoy this episode. Hi, Rahul. Thank you so much for giving us the time today. How are you doing?
I am good, Raghav. Thanks a lot for having me on your platform. Well, first of all, I would like to tell you is that I think this is a pretty great initiative that you have taken up. I've gone through some of the episodes, and honestly, I think I knew some of my batchmates, but then these episodes have thrown different lights about them as well. So that way, it is quite nice to hear these stories, and at least for potential incoming students and current students, I think this episode, these series of podcasts, which throw a good light in terms of some of the jobs that are there, and more importantly, allow them to understand as to how did we go through it and showcase some of the things that they can also pick up. So that way, I think this is a pretty nice initiative.
Thank
And
you so
kudos
much.
for you, and for you to start this and continuing with it.
No, thank you so much. It's just my way of giving back. And, when you look at a profile of somebody, you just know that, okay, this is the professional life. The idea behind the podcast is that you get to know the person behind the profile. So
Yeah.
thank you. As you say, I've managed to do that to some extent. So I take that as a compliment. Thank you so much. All right. So the usual question with which I begin is to ask my guests a little bit about their background. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I don't think I need to start off with this, but then again, I am a 2021 MBA graduate from Schulich, just like you, Raghav. But prior to Schulich, I had followed the path in India, the tried and tested path in India of doing engineering. Then realizing that, hey, listen, this is not my cup of tea. I can't sit around circuits and try to understand what happens here, what happens there. So then I moved into sales and marketing. So my first job was in sales and marketing. Then prior to the MBA, I spent around 4.5 years in sales and marketing, predominantly working on campaigns across different platforms. So over those times, I had the experience of developing marketing campaigns across online and offline mediums. A lot to do in terms of trade shows, events on the online side, a bit of content creation. Then apart from that, working on digital ad platforms, and apart from that, dabble with email marketing. So that was my experience prior to the MBA. So all in all, I was managing the marketing spends and creating the marketing strategy in terms of understanding how do we raise awareness of the companies that I've been a part of, and obviously get in more sales leads, get in more marketing leads, and at the same time look at how can we penetrate the market as well. Post MBA, I took a small detour. I was working at York University as a business analyst for more than a year. So that role was more to do in terms of preparing of business cases and understanding opportunities to improve the processes at York, both from a technology point of view and from a people point of view. It was a good detour because post MBA, I always wanted to see what a consulting life would be like. But here, working at York as an internal consultant, I got an idea that, hey, listen, this is not the cup of tea that I would want. So then I came back into marketing. So currently, I am working as a marketing advisor at Enbridge. So this role is, again, implementation of multi-touch campaigns to raise awareness of the products of our services for customers across Canada. So in a nutshell, that's more on the professional side. On the personal side, I really like telling this part, Raghav, is that one of the side effects of the MBA has been that the chef in me, the 8-year-old who wanted to be a chef, that is sort of
Mm.
reawakened. So I've taken to cooking as a hobby. I think one of the good parts of being in Canada is that I have been able to, I would say that I've been able to get in touch with my outdoorsy side a bit more. So I've gotten a bike and I really love biking. Apart from that, like any other no, any other normal guy, I would say that football is something that I'm very passionate and I follow. So yeah, so that's me. That's me, Rahul.
Wow, man, you are living the good life.
Hope so, Raghav. Hope so.
You are. And just for, yeah, just to give it a little bit of context to our Indian listeners, bike here in Canada means bicycle, not a motorcycle.
Not a motorcycle.
Not a
I
motorcycle.
So the first time that people told me about a bike, even I was like, "Oh, bike? Does that mean like a motorbike?" Then I realized slowly in the Canadian context, it's all so it's
Yeah.
cycles. But yeah,
All right, Rahul. So you said engineering was not your cup of tea. Then what was it about marketing that got your attention? And how did that first job in marketing happen post your engineering?
So I think a good part of marketing that got my attention was the fact that you need to understand a customer's psyche and try to actually position your product or service as per that particular customer. So that way, it involved a lot of it involved the parts of things that I really liked. One was the creative aspect of it, where you're coming out with different kinds of marketing campaigns, where you're being creative in terms of how would you want to position a product. And apart from that, the analytical aspect as well, where you're looking down and understanding what are the drivers for a customer to buy that product or service. So combining both of this is what really caught my interest into marketing. Well, the first job in marketing, well, I think my engineering background helped me in that front. So
So
I
it was not
started.
a complete waste then.
Oh no, definitely no. I would never say that any degree is a waste. Definitely no. So my first job in marketing was because I was selected as an intern for as at the end of my engineering course for a 6 month project with them in creating a new product. A part of that role also entailed me to go out and work on the sales side of things, work on field. So the organization saw that I was in tune with that with the sales aspect a bit more. And personally, even I like that aspect more. So that's how I got my first role as a sales specialist. As a sales specialist.
That's wonderful. And because you were liking it, you have like 4 years of experience before you did your MBA, you must
Yep.
have explored or found out about what other opportunities and what other job designations exist in the field of marketing.
Yep.
So could you tell us a little bit about them, especially for our listeners who are, let's say, who have no background in marketing? What are some of the job designations or like the popular job designations in marketing which they can aim for?
So marketing as a whole, Raghav, is a very wide, uh, wide job profile, I would say, because you can start off with something as small as you can. So right now, the thing is that marketing is divided into both online and offline. So on the online side, you have a lot of different roles on the digital side. Something like a digital marketing specialist or digital marketing manager. You are basically managing the digital campaigns on different media on channels such as Facebook, Google, LinkedIn. You're managing the campaigns on on these particular platforms. The other parts of marketing, the other jobs that are also there are jobs such as a brand manager, where you're managing a whole portfolio of brand, looking at it from an angle of how is the brand performing in the market and coming out with tactics to increase the sales of the brand or increase the revenue of the brand. Then you also have roles such as the roles that I'm working at currently as a marketing advisor or a marketing specialist or a marketing or a senior marketing advisor. So these roles essentially are a combination of where you are sort of where you are carrying out your promotional activities across a wide portfolio of different different channels, both online and offline. Then on a product side, you have product marketing roles where you're entailed, where you're looking at the how to get the product out into the market in terms of positioning the product, in terms of what is the pricing strategy that you would need to follow, and how can you ensure that there are different materials created that would be able to communicate those details to a customer. So I would say that marketing as a whole, there is a plethora of opportunities. And as a newcomer in this field, I think one of the best things that you can do is that read up, understand what is working, what are you interested in, because a good part of marketing right now also has the analytical aspect of it, where you're analyzing data. So something like a life cycle marketing, where you are looking at the customer journeys, where you're looking at how is a customer sort of interacting with your product across the whole customer journey. So that involves a lot of data analysis as well. So I would say that as a newcomer, it's for you to reach out to people, understand what they are doing, and for you to find out that your niche in terms of what kind of marketing role would work for you.
That's very beneficial advice for people who don't have any background in marketing and would like to explore the field of marketing. So let's come back to your story. You were liking your job.
Yep.
You were making some progress in your career. You got some promotions. And then why did you then decide to do your MBA at this point in your career? What was missing?
I think the primary thing as to why MBA was that, like I told you, Raghav, I'm an engineer. So I didn't have that theoretical marketing knowledge that I really wanted to have. So everything that I did was learning on the job, learning learning the marketing lingo on the job, learning how does marketing work and what are the different tactics that you would need to use on the job. So my primary goal of pursuing an MBA was getting that marketing skill set into me and getting that theoretical knowledge of marketing into me. Apart from that, why I actually wanted to pursue an MBA was that because for all of us who are looking at taking our careers to the next step, MBA makes you a much more well-rounded professional in terms of a business context, because you're studying courses on marketing, finance, organization, behavior. So that way you're becoming a much more well-rounded business professional. So that was another aims of doing an MBA program for me.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And but then like you were working as a marketer in India, which is a completely different context from the Canadian context which you are working in right now. So then why did you not choose to do your MBA from India? That would have been easier for you, right?
So this is more on a personal side. Is that definitely doing an MBA in India would have been a lot more easier, because again, the marketing landscape remains the same. It's not a new language you need to pick up. It's no, you don't need to understand customers from a different angle. But then again, my primary goal of doing an MBA was studying in an internationally reputed university, getting that exposure of working across different nationalities. So that was my primary goal of doing an MBA. And obviously, since I was looking at opportunities abroad, I think one of my other aims was that looking at countries which had immigration-friendly policies. So that was that was the primary aim. In terms of that is the secondary aim, is that go pursue an MBA, and then after some time maybe settle down in that country as well. So those were the two major aims in terms of why I wanted to pursue a degree abroad.
All right. Yeah, that makes complete sense, especially with the immigration policies. From that point of view, Canada makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
And I mean, there are business schools in USA which are very prestigious, but a lot of candidates hesitate to go over there because of the immigration policies.
I'll tell you the funny story behind that, Raghav, is that
Yeah.
US was obviously, I think for a lot of us, US was a first priority. So when I was actually applying, I was also looking at US very seriously. I actually got an admit from one university in the US. And that's when I realized, okay, this is something there's a lot of risk involved in this, in terms of the amount of investment, first things first. And then obviously with the administration that was there at that point of time, it was not very safe as an international student, because you go there and then lo and behold, 3 months, after 3 months, you're done from graduation. You're like, okay, now you're coming back home. So So yeah, so that was my bit as to why I didn't choose the US, and that's why Canada came as a option.
And then in Canada, what was the deciding factor for you to choose Schulich?
I think so. How I had actually gone about my application process for colleges was I looked at each country, looked at US, looked at Canada, I looked at Spain as well, and at all these countries, my first priority was looking at MBA colleges which had where marketing as a course was very, very predominant and very, very uh, famous, I would say. So that's how I came across Schulich. Then after that, I'd had an opportunity of going through the profiles of the professors that were there. So people like Ashwin Joshi, people like people, so people like Joe Fate. So professors like that really caught my eye, and I understood that Schulich is predominant. Schulich is known for marketing, so that's
Correct.
why I settled on Schulich, and that was the primary reason because for me during my when I was in my MBA journey of searching for a school, it was just looking at colleges which were very, 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 very good for marketing.
Right. Yeah, that makes complete sense. I can now understand the rationale behind your decisions. But you said one thing which caught my eye, which was MBA gives you a well-rounded personality.
Yeah.
So that is a theme which you hear across the board, like quite consistently. But can you expand on what is it? What experiences does MBA provide which actually help do that?
So I think I think personally for me, Raghav, MBA as a whole is what you make out of it. I mean, there is the whole education part of it, where you're going from class to class, doing the education bit, which is what is expected out of you. But then there's a whole other aspect of the MBA that you really need to leverage and understand, which kind of shapes your personality as well. Taking part in or taking an active participation in the group projects. So that sort of makes you, I think, makes you a much more confident speaker, makes you a better person. I mean, it helps improve your communication skills. So that is one part of the MBA that is I think really, really important to help you groom better. Then the other part is that you as an MBA student have also a lot of things going on the side, on on the side as well. You are taking part in club activities. You are searching for a. You are Some of us are also doing part-time jobs, and then apart from that, you are also trying to immerse yourself in learning about different businesses. So that way, what I think is that it teaches you a lot in terms of being more self-aware, in terms of uh, not only about yourself, but just becoming a much more self-aware person, and as to how do you handle different situations, how do you handle different circumstances. So that way, I think that sort of helps you groom, and sort of helps you come out as a better person uh, than what you did during the course of the MBA. Like personally, for me, I think one of the things that the MBA really taught me was that how to sort of understand prioritization, because you're having a number of things happening at each particular time. So that way, it helped me understand how to prioritize things and how to actually deliver on those things as well. So that is one thing that I think the MBA really taught me. And obviously, from a communication point of view, how to communicate, how to understand, how to speak the other person's language. I think that is something that is really important, and that is something that the MBA teaches you.
Yeah. And that makes sense because once you go out in the job market and you actually start working, there are n number of tasks which you are bombarded with every day.
Yep.
So knowing how to prioritize and what impact each task will have is something very important for you to know, and MBA grooms you for that. So that is actually very helpful. But apart from that, like what other activities did you participate in? I know you participated in the Together 2021, for which you won a prize as well.
Yep.
So how did that experience help you? And what are your memories from that?
I mean, I really like, I mean, Together 2021, I think was a great start for 2021 for me at least. I think the best memory is seeing that Indochino suit in my locker, in my clothes drawer every day. But overall, I think that was a really good experience because you are working. It's a real life situation where you're working with founders of an early stage startup. So you're taking their vision, their statement, and turning it into something which is tangible, and you're presenting it to, I would say, some of the premier startup people across the board, both in India and Canada. So that way, I think one of the biggest takeaways, at least for me, for Together 2021, was how to sort of translate a problem statement into an actionable solution, and how to be able to sort of communicate that in a 15-page deck to different stakeholders and get their buy-in, because a large part of it was getting their buy-in in terms of whether the startup was a viable startup or not. So obviously looking at crunching data in terms of looking at the market size and then translating it into the opportunity that a startup had. I mean, those are all experiences where you understand how best you can position a startup for success as well. How best can you convert that problem statement into a winnable solution? So that way, I think Together 2021 was a good experience for me, at least, to learn how to pitch an idea to stakeholders and how to get the buy-in.
Yeah, that is wonderful. And like you said in the summary of your work experience, you took a little detour after your MBA and you started working for York University. So,
Yep.
what's the story behind that? You loved marketing, you did your MBA thinking that marketing is something you want to work in the future as well.
Yep.
But then you went ahead and started working for York University as a business analyst.
Yep.
Why?
Um, primarily it was because of the times that we were in, COVID being a huge setback to all of us. So this was an opportunity which I had got through one of my professors at the MBA course. So because of that, I had got that opportunity, and it at that time it made no sense to reject it, because you as an international student have to also start working and earning, and there's something on your plate, I would say take it up. So that's what I did. It So I would say that the experience at York was a very good experience for me, because you got to interface, because at least I got to interface with the high level stakeholders at York. So that helped improve my communication skills on, again, how to pitch ideas and solutions and how to get stakeholder buy-in. That really helped me understand how to do that. So that way I thought it was a really good experience. Apart from that, it also helped understand, it also sort of put a different light into the people aspect of it, because like I told you, the job had a lot of you're looking at processes and you're sort of communicating that to a different stakeholders at the university. So that way, I think it got a huge amount of exposure in terms of change management to me, and how to sort of communicate a change to different audiences across the university, how to mitigate those how to mitigate the risk against those changes. So that way, I think that was a very good learning experience for me at York. And I think that these are the kind of skill sets that I think hold you good, irrespective of whether you're a marketing or as a business analyst, or for that matter, as a project manager as well. So that way, I think these experiences really help improve me professionally.
Yeah. And like you said, these skills are transferable to any job you might apply to in the future. So, to our listeners who don't have any experience per se in marketing, don't be discouraged. If you have these skills, they are easily transferable. And you also made one very important point over there, that you got this job because you knew a professor with whom you had good relation. So when we think of networking, people usually think of networking with their peers or networking with some strangers over LinkedIn. It's also important to have good relationships with your professors, because they have been there for a long period of time, and they know a lot of people. So you never know which professor might refer you for which opportunity.
I mean, that's the funny bit, Raghav, is that, like I was telling you, the MBA experience is what you make out of it. So one of the reasons as to why this particular professor remembered me and remembered two of my other batchmates as well was that during the time when COVID had hit us, we had actually tried to prepare a small report of the impact of COVID-19 on the Canadian economy. Worked closely with the professor on that. At that point of time, our only aim was to prepare this report as a networking opportunity. we, we thought that we're sitting at home, we could utilize our time better, so we prepared this report and we ended up publishing it on LinkedIn. And I think that showed a lot of, I mean, the professor obviously liked that bit because it showed initiative on our part to do something that was not part of the customary MBA course, right? And obviously for us also it was a good learning curve in terms of learning about the industries, learning about the impact. But that again is something that I would want to highlight, is that whatever you do in the MBA, you don't know how is it going to help you in the future, or in life in general, is that whatever you do, you never know how is it going to help you. But then that's the thing, is that you need to find those avenues and opportunities where you are trying to make an impact in whatever way you can.
That's true. And like you put it so beautifully, make the most of it, most out of it. Like MBA is what you make out of it. So you took that initiative and published that report with the intent of networking, and voila, you got referred. So that's a great story. Now, moving on, Rahul, I know you were interested in the domain of marketing and you made consistent efforts in finding that job, a particular role in marketing. So what has that journey taught you with regards to especially the resume building, networking, and how you got this current job? So can you tell us the story behind that, please?
So yes, Raghav, you are right, is that I was looking out for a marketing job for some time. So for me, at least, there were certain check marks that I wanted out of my next job in terms of the role per se and in terms of the organization as well. So those were some of my prerequisites that I would like to put it.
Can you tell them a little? Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Okay, so one of the things that I was really looking forward from a job point of view was that the ability to not be the ability to work on different mediums of marketing on the online and the offline side and not be restricted to either one of them, because that was one of my major prerequisites that I was looking at. The other thing that I was looking at from a marketing point of view was that a role which also allowed me some amount of some amount of allowed me to build up the marketing strategy for the product or the service that I was selling. So that way, those were the two important prerequisites that I wanted from a job per se. From an organization per se, I was looking at working for one of the larger Canadian organizations. So that was one thing that I really wanted. And apart from that, I was also looking to work at an organization where I was a part in a team of marketers, because I've always worked as an individual marketer. So I've never had the opportunity of learning from my peers in marketing. So that was one of the major prerequisites that I wanted. So these were the four major prerequisites that I really wanted. So that's how I came across the job at Enbridge on LinkedIn. So I reached out to a couple of people on the team, had a couple of calls with them. Then I reached out to my manager. So I had a quick 15-minute conversation with her where I spoke to her about what my skill sets are and about my experience, and asked her a few questions about the job. Next thing I know is that, and my email is, I have got an interview call for the role.
Without even applying for it?
No, I'd already applied for it, but then subsequently I got an interview call. So then I had the interview where the manager herself had said that we had the short call, so it was really nice talking to you, and now I would like to have a more formal interview with you and have a formal interview. So after the interview got over, and then that's how I sort of landed the job. I think that first bit of reaching out to team members provided me a good insight in the role. Then obviously reaching out to the manager and asking her relevant questions in terms of the job showed my interest in the role. Apart from that, it also showed the fact that I had done my homework. And just reaching out to the right people, the manager, also showed that, and it also allowed me to have that interface without even getting into that interview. So she already knew who I was, what are my skill sets. Now it was just about me making sure that I'm able to communicate those points to her quite clearly. So I think
Yeah.
this bit of networking, not only with the manager, but with the team members as well, helped me in terms of understanding the role, understanding the organization, understanding how best can I position myself for the role. So I think that is one thing that I would always tell everybody is that if you're applying for a role at an organization, don't just reach out to one person, reach out to multiple people because you'll get multiple perspectives. Then you'll understand the role a lot more better. And the other bit is that you don't know where, say, person A might go and tell your manager about the manager about you. And then if it's coming from multiple sources, then it just shows to highlight your credentials for the role.
That's true. That's the network effect.
Yeah.
You never know which person is connected to which person. But you said two things over there, which I want you to expand upon further. First, you said that you reached out to the manager and the team members. So
Yeah.
on LinkedIn, it's not really easy to find out who the team members are
Yeah.
and who the manager is. So how did you manage to find them? And my second question to you is, you said you did your homework by asking them relevant questions.
Yeah.
So can you expand on that? Like if somebody is reaching out to a person over LinkedIn, what are the relevant questions which they can ask?
So I think some of the relevant questions that you can talk about is that obviously from a job point of view, you would need to understand what is the role. Those are the basics, right? What is the role and what are the different, say if I'm applying in a marketing role, it is, well, what are the different kinds of marketing platforms am I going to be working on? But more than that, it is also important to ask people as to how is success measured for this role, or how does this role sort of contribute to the long-term vision of the organization, and how does this role sort of fit into the team environment that is there. Because I think that those are some of the key questions that I had gone out and asked my manager during the call and during the interview as well. So it sort of shows you that it's sort of, I would think that this sort of shows the bit about how about you showing that in the showing the thing that you would want to be a part of the team as well, and trying to understand more importantly as to what is the role about and how is the role impacting the organization, and also understanding the culture of the organization there. So I think that is one of the key bits that you would need to ask as a potential employee to every to a manager. So that was one thing that I think really helped me asking these kind of questions. So yeah, so that was something that helped me a lot when I did my networking.
And the second bit of my question was, how did you find out that these are the team members and this is the manager?
I think that's an hit and trial method rather. I have not been able to crack that. There is no science for it. I think it's a hit and trial method that I have followed. So the basic method that I used to follow is that uh, if there is a role open, try to search for it on LinkedIn. Usually what happens is that you would be able to understand the hierarchy through the organization itself. Say it's a marketing advisor, you have a senior marketing advisor, you have a supervisor, then you know that you would need to contact the first level advisor, then senior advisor, then supervisor. That's how I looked at it. But I would say that one other thing that during my whole networking process that helped me a lot was reaching out to a lot of people in the organization. So involuntarily, somebody or the other would involuntarily, what I would do is that I would be able to find out from them who is the hiring manager or who is the relevant person that I need to contact with. So I think that's how it sort of helped me. That is one other bit that helped me as well, just reaching out to people and getting that information from them. So that helped me. The other bit is obviously it's just a LinkedIn search, hit and trial. If it works for you. But thankfully, it worked for me. But that's the only thing that I mean. That's how it worked for me, Rahul.
Yeah, and that's true. Your approach of reaching out to multiple people inside the organization, and you never know when you might get lucky, because
Yep.
I know several people with and this exactly same scenario which happened with you. They reached out to somebody, and that person turned out to be the hiring manager or the team in which there was a job vacancy. So this has happened with several people. So until and unless you reach out to more number of people,
Yep.
this can not happen to you. So make sure you reach out to a lot of people while you are applying for that job.
Exactly. And I mean, there's a popular saying which says that you just need to be lucky once, right?
Sure.
That's what it is at the end of the day, because I just feel that the whole job search thing is, I mean, there's a component of it that obviously is your skill sets that matter. But then I think luck also plays a huge part in it, is that you need to be at the right position at the right time. And for that, I mean, you can look at it in a way, say that you can wait for luck to come, or you go out there and create your own luck.
Yeah. And the important thing about luck is that you might get lucky, but if you're not prepared for that opportunity,
Yep.
it won't count. So it's very important to be prepared
Yep.
and then try your luck.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Those are great insights. Any particular tips, Rahul, you have with regards to resume preparation?
So my 2 cents on the resume preparation, Raghav, is that, I mean, at least when I was applying, I so I was applying, so I knew that. I mean, I would say that one of the things that I would really advise people to do is that, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody does this, but then have resumes for different job profiles, and make sure that for one job profile your resume is optimized. So again, for me at least, when I did that, I had to do a lot of analysis in terms of what are the keywords that are used for that particular job description, in terms of looking at different kinds of profiles and making sure that those words were reflected in my profile as well. So that was one bit that I did. The second bit was that obviously reach out to as many people as possible, get their advice on the resume, get their advice on your resume, ask them about what, ask them about pointers that they can tell you that can enhance a simple sentence on your resume as well. So that is something that I actively followed in terms of getting feedback on my resume. That was that. So I think that sort of helped me understand how to make sure that my resume was optimized for one particular role. So that was, I mean, I would say that that is the major part of it. Reach out for advice, reach out and seek help. Because if you ask for help, I don't think there's anybody in this world who's going to tell you, no, I can't help you. They might delay it, but they will eventually help you out.
And that is consistent advice. Like I've asked these questions to many people regarding resume preparation, and this advice is consistent across the board, that make sure you share your resume with as many people as possible and get their inputs.
Yeah, it is all about making sure that you, I mean, you get, you are doing the hard work of understanding from industry peers as to how, as to what works and what doesn't work. So that is one thing. I think that second bit that I think there's one more bit of resume preparation that is very, very important is, I mean, I think this is thrown out a lot there, is the car or the star format.
Yeah.
I think that that is something that you need to follow diligently. I know that there is some, I mean, I know that I've provided feedback to on resumes, and I've been telling them diligently that always say situation, action, result.
Situation, task, action, results.
Yeah.
So star. Yeah.
Situation, task, action, result. Because the thing is that if there's a person reading your resume, the person also needs to understand why did you do an XYZ thing, and how did it sort of help the business or whatever. And it is very important to get that context out to them, because you might think that that line might convey the context, but for them that context is way more important, because you are trying to, because basically your experiences back in India, maybe an Indian recruiter will understand it, but a Canadian recruiter might not. So I would say that that is one thing that I would say is a prerequisite, which is like a hard yes, I would say, is that you need to have that on your resume.
That is very true. My next question to you, Rahul, is you have worked in India
Yep.
and now you are working in Canada. So, what differences do you find in the work culture and people in general working in India versus working in Canada?
I think the major difference is your personal time, because back in India, I mean, I would say that there are very few organizations which have the concept of understanding that there is a life outside 9 to 5. Here, I think most of the organizations understand that, and they respect that bit, that once you're done at 5 o'clock, you're not required to you're not required to switch on your laptop and reply to emails. You can do it the next day. So that is something that is really important. I think that has been one of the major differences. Uh, just from a cultural point of view, I think that, and also just understanding that the whole aspect of I would say that uh, this bit about the 9 to 5 and about your personal time is the major thing. And the second thing I would say is, just from a cultural point of view, is how understanding your team members are about your work situation, and also about how it's sort of uh, how understanding they are about your work situation and how helpful people are here. I feel that is something that is not taken I mean taken for granted. I think that people here are generally very helpful, and so that way I think that it just makes it a lot more easier for you to create those bonds with people at the workplace.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. And for the last question, I'll play the devil's advocate. And for someone who is not at all interested in marketing, I'll ask you the question, why should I even consider a career in marketing? Why is it important? Like, if my product is good, it'll anyway become popular through word of mouth. So, why marketing?
That's a very good question, Raghav. I mean, it's a simple example, right? Is that uh, your product, I mean, like you said, if a product is good, it should eventually lead to popularity and sales. But that's generally not how that works, because marketing as a whole, I believe that it's not only about creating that awareness for a product, but it is also more to do in terms of creating the niche and creating the value associated with the product. So word of mouth will usually get to some kind of awareness and some kinds of popularity. But marketing as a whole, what it does is that it first of all makes sure that you understand how to position the product. Who is your major customer set that you would want to position this product to? And then after that, look at how can you make sure that you can promote this product actively and efficiently so it reaches everybody. So it reaches everybody. So I think marketing as a whole creates that whole uh, jazz about the product, which which sort of which sort of creates a whole hype, and which accentuates the value of the product in a customer's eyes. And that is something that I think good marketing does, is that good marketing drives the sales of a product. Like you said, a good product with okayish marketing will get you sales, will get you revenue. A bad product with really good marketing would get you more sales as well. Because that's the whole thing about marketing, is that it makes sure that it sort of helps you promote and sell your product to a larger customer segment, and it makes sure that it's driving the customer across the whole journey of it, of the product, right from when the customer is searching for the product, searching for a product to buying it and then becoming advocates as well. That's how marketing works, is that it works across all these touch points to ensure that the customer buys, not only buys the product or service this time, but buys it the next time as well. So I think that is something that marketing does to create value in a business.
Right. I mean, I am not sure why I would buy a product which is bad the next time. I mean, the first time I might buy it if the marketing is good.
That's my thing. So first time you would buy it, but obviously you won't. I'm not saying that the product needs to the product obviously has to be a good product for you to buy it again. But then my whole point is that marketing can lead to me as a customer buying something which is not essentially a good product, and then me realizing that the product is not bad, but not buying again. But that's my point, is that marketing serves to create the demand for the product as well.
Okay, by elevating that product above the competition, so that even though it might be as good as the competition's product, but it creates that status, or it elevates the product or accentuates the demand for it, as you said. So yeah, that I think that's a great answer. And on that note, I think we can end this podcast. Thank you so much for your time, Rahul. And I hope you'll come back again for another episode.
Definitely, Raghav. Thanks a lot for your time on this. And it's been a pleasure talking to you on this.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you again. And you have a great rest of your evening.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Raghav.
And that was the episode for today. If you liked it, please leave us a comment, like this video, and subscribe to the channel. Until the next time, this is me, Raghavendra Harne, signing off. Take care.